Option. Anything that Africans try to build up in order to become independent from white monopoly capitalists must by all means fail. Why? In order to push the idea that Africans cannot do anything by themselves, they need their colonizer to lend a helping hand in order to be successful in anything. This is the thought that I want you to keep in mind while I try to break down this Vbs saga. Chifuwa Matodzi, the former chairperson of VBS, was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. And now we have an affidavit that was leaked to us. And the whole country is focusing their energy, their resources on 2 pages of that affidavit. Why? That affidavit implicates 2 very important gentlemen in the quest of Pan-Africanism, and that is Floyd Shivambu and Julius Malema. Of course, the ultimate target being the EFF. You guys have been waiting patiently for 2 days for me to break down this affidavit and actually what the hell is going on. Keep an open mind as I take you into a dive into the deep waters of VBS Mutual Bank, the untold story.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, Kagiso Hlongwane Zinjiva Sono, Mr. Easy Imalene, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, I'm covering this VBS story. You guys have been patiently waiting for 2-3 days for me to cover this since this news resurfaced again. And everyone is so happy that finally there's something they can talk about negatively about the EFF. African people, you are easily distracted. Let me say that again and think about it as I say it. African people, you are easily distracted. The main agenda of us Africans is uniting. The main agenda for us as Africans is to build institutions, to build structures. The main agenda for us as Africans is to win our land back, to take back economic power, to take back our minerals, to take back our land. That is the main objective. But media will always distract us in order to take our focus from what we are supposed to do and focus rather on this. Every time when African people try to make some type of progress, war comes, distraction comes, our attention is shifted every time. COVID comes, there's entertainment comes, sports comes. There's always something that is taking our eye away from the ball while our colonizers continue to loot our land. Let me just put that first before I go in there. VBS Mutual Bank's looting amounts to more than 2 billion. Think about it. 2 billion. So that's the first thing you have to think about. I'm trying to break this thing down for you guys so that you guys can get a broader picture that the failure of VBS does not only hurt VBS, but it hurts us as an African community, because that was our bank. A mutual bank is a bank where individuals, the community have got shares into that bank. You understand what I'm saying? We failed to build a bank, and that makes our colonizers so happy. It's going to be difficult for the next person who comes and tries to build a bank. VBS will be made an example to say, look what they did. Now you are trying to do the same. and the next black bank that is going to open is going to have resistance from the black community, is going to have absolutely no trust installed in it or support because of VBS. And we always have this sickness of, when we open our organizations, we want to dilute the color with some white person in there. The VBS top officials, the CFO, what's his name, Philip Tuter, is the first person to be arrested in VBS. I believe he was arrested in 2020, where he was sentenced for 7 years imprisonment. 10 years imprisonment and 3 years suspended. So he's serving 7. So he will be done with his term very soon. He was obviously convicted for corruption, money laundering, and all of that. But black people are not concerned about that. That's not the matter. We want black skin. We want black skin because the self-hate in the black community is so big. That program that white people installed in our brains to self-hate and self-destruct is very important, and it works from the apartheid days till today. And Philip co-hosts, 7 co-hosts. 7 co-hosts that pleaded not guilty. So he pleaded guilty from the very beginning because he knew, as the CFO runs, guys, the CFO runs any company. The CFO is the boss. Don't care about the CEO. I don't care about the chairperson. I don't care. The CFO controls the money. So now, when we speak about VBS, we're talking about 20 municipalities that deposited money into a mutual bank. Now, municipalities, according to the MFMA, the Municipal Financial Management Act, they're not supposed to work with mutual banks, because they know you as Africans, you're going to start building slowly, building from a mutual bank before you become a fully fledged bank. So they say municipalities are not allowed to work with mutual banks, so that black people and their companies cannot become successful. How is a mutual bank going to compete with Standard Bank, FNB, and all of the other big banks if government does not give it business? SARS banks with those mutual banks. Not the mutual banks, with the main banks. So if you open a company and you want SARS to come in and bank with you, first of all, the Reserve Bank is not going to award you with the license. They're going to give you a small license of mutual bank, and it's going to be even more difficult for us to get there after this VBS failure. So 20 municipalities deposited money in there. Notably, Thijs Venerkus is one of the men that deposited 50 million rands from the Marafing municipality. So this Thijs Venerkus guy was the CFO of that municipality. I told you, CFO run municipalities. So as I try to go a little bit through, I'll get to your affidavit. Just give me a chance to break this thing down. Chifiwa Matodzi got 15 years in this money laundering case. He has failed African people. When we talk about how this man was living his life, the luxury cars, the things that he was doing, it's so disappointing that a chairperson of an institution like a mutual bank can live this luxurious life and do all of these things. And like I said, the failure of Chifiwa is a failure of all African people. It's not only him that fails, it's all of us. And you guys who are happy to see African people go to jail and you're so quick to forgive the apartheid sins, the apartheid crimes. You're still operating with apartheid companies that still mine till today, that did fraudulent things, and West Bank that was funding apartheid companies till today. Till today, you are quick to forgive and forget those white crimes, but the black crimes, you are so excited to get a conviction. But that's okay. Your boy's gonna break it down for you guys. The luxury lives and the way that man was living, for me, it's so disappointing, man. It's so disappointing. We as black people should feel some type of a pain for having people like this to have been one of the first. It's not the first black bank, but one of the first black banks that was out there. People were talking about it. VBS, our grandmothers were queuing up and depositing their monies there. People took their pension funds in there. We should be hurt that one of our own did this to us. I'm not sure if you guys understand what I'm saying. So now a more than 250-page affidavit was released. More than 250 pages. And everyone is singing the song of those 2 pages that mention Floyd Shivambu and Julius Malema. I'm going to speak how I feel. I'm going to read that affidavit with you guys word for word, skipping absolutely nothing. But before I go there, let's listen to when Floyd was asked about this issue. What was his response?
The issue of Polly van Veek and Dilma Maverick is that the story which she wrote yesterday or 2 days ago is the same thing she wrote the first time. I think she has in November last year. It's 7 or 6 articles now. They are repeating the same thing. And we have clarified that. And we have taken a decision that we do not want to really dignify things that are just repetitions. And the coincidence that we have identified is that every time the people that handled Daily Maverick and herself, like the Pravin Gordhans, are in trouble, they try to bring up the issue of VBS. There is absolutely nothing new. That is the same allegation that she came to make in the press conference of the EFF. So if you go and check the first press conference of the EFF that dealt with this issue of VBS, she asked about a company called Mauna and Grand Tanzania, and she actually even spoke about the payments in Durban and everything else there. So these are not new things. She just uses different headings, the same article, same content of the same things. And we have since clarified that the EFF has never been involved with VBS, and we have never benefited anything from VBS. And that is a final position. And the good thing about this is that not even one of the law enforcement agencies has ever brought an inquiry to the extent that seeks to question whether the EFF was involved or not, because they all have admitted that the EFF was not involved. Not the Reserve Bank, not the Hawks, not the NPA, not the special crimes process and courts and everything else there. There is not a single law enforcement agency that is dignifying the imaginations of Polly van Veek and the Daily Maverick. It's their own creations because they want to create a public discourse that seek to delegitimize the integrity and standing of the EFF. And we're tired of clarifying nonsense. We're not going to do that as the EFF. We're busy. We're focusing on bigger battles that we know we're going to ultimately emerge victorious.
So there you hear it from the Deputy President Floyd Shivambu. I think our leaders should be careful to understand how powerful a narrative is. A narrative does not need you to go to prison. It does not need you to stand in front of a court. Your name just has to be mentioned. True or false, correct or not correct, your name just needs to be mentioned. Many people's names were tarnished into small bits, like Abo Muloto, Abo Brian Mulefe, just by their names being mentioned in the Zondo Commission. It killed their careers. Luckily, some of them is resurrected in the MK and all of that. But just the mention of your name is dangerous. And Floyd cannot detach himself from his brother's company, of which I will speak about here. But it's important to understand that this is not a new thing. There's no new story that's coming out here. The Daily Maverick is telling us what they've been telling us for the past many years. You understand what I'm saying? There's nothing new. But when you change the title and you rephrase some words, black people get excited. Remember, EFF will always be hated. Listen for this. Listen to this one. For trying to unite black people. The MK also. The crime they are doing in front of white monopoly capitalists is to unite black people. And that crime cannot be forgiven. The white people cannot forever, ever forgive that crime, because they know black unity means the end of their empire in Africa. You understand what I'm saying? So I want us to go on the 200 and something page affidavit. Obviously, for this part, I don't know how long this video is going to be. You will excuse me, guys. Maybe I'll do a part 2 also, so that it does not become too long. Because there's something I want to break down also in terms of the cut of the company that was registered in VBS following Julius, Malema and Floyd Shivambu and stuff like that. I'll break that down also, so that we can understand what is going on there. But let's go into the affidavit and read exactly what is going on in this affidavit. Obviously, we will be focusing on page 57 and page 58 of the affidavit. Those are the 2 pages that mention Julius Malema and Floyd Shivambu. Very interesting, coming from Chifiwa, a corrupt individual who has said, actually, I want power. I wanted to become the big guy. I wanted to be known as the boss. That's the guy's affidavit we are reading. The guy that looted almost $1 billion, almost $1 billion rand himself. This is the guy's affidavit. And affidavit is just that, and a statement that we are taking from you. It does not mean it's true or false. You understand what I'm saying? So let's go into the into that affidavit. There it says, I think it's 24, an extra 24, payment of Schameka. Schameka is the company that Brian Molife's brother, Brian Shivambu owns, the brother of Floyd Shivambu. There we go. Read with me, ladies and gentlemen. 27.1. To my knowledge, Schameka is the company owned by Brian Shivambu, a brother of Floyd Shivambu, Floyd, who is the deputy president of the EFF. The company was provided to me by Floyd to make payments that I promised to the EFF. Okay, you promised to. You see, this affidavit did not start well when they wanted to mention the EFF. I think they wanted, they kind of flipped the 2 paragraphs, because I think the first paragraph was supposed to be number 1 and this one was supposed to be number 2. But you will understand why I'm saying that. So the key word to take there is promised. Is promised. He says, the company provided to me by Floyd Shivambu to make payments that I promised to the EFF. Let's continue reading. I made this promise. Why? Following the news which broke in the media that VBS has granted former President Zuma a home loan for his Nkandla resident. Ladies and gentlemen, this news that broke, it was everywhere. Everyone was speaking about it. I want you to remember that. Everyone was speaking about this. But listen to this, to what he says. Negative publicity across in the country. In particular, we say particularly from those that were opposed to Zuma at the time. Amongst those was the EFF. Now, I want you to understand, guys. I need you to understand this. At that time, this was breaking news. Why? Because nobody wanted to save Jacob Zuma from paying that amount. I think it was 4 million that he was supposed to pay back. You guys remember the pay back the money saga. Nobody wanted Jacob Zuma to win. Jacob Zuma was painted as the most corrupt person. Everything is wrong about Jacob Zuma and all of those things. So nobody wanted to align themselves with Jacob Zuma. It was difficult to align yourself with Jacob Zuma. So this negative press that he's talking about did not only come from the EFF. We're talking about Newsroom broke this news, guys. I mean News 24, Daily Maverick also, Sunday World, the Business Tech. Many people were speaking about this, not only the EFF. Obviously, the EFF was using this as a campaign, and like the other political parties, like your Action SA and your, the DA, all the opposition parties were using this as currency for their, campaigning. So, something is not clear there. But anyway, let's go to, and remember, you must link this to Jacob Zuma. Zuma, it looks like his name is always trying to be sold somewhere in between. It must always be the center. And they think this is bad, but I'll tell you later on why this is good. Let's read 27.2. The EFF started a campaign of mentioning VBS in its political rallies through its president, Julius Malema. As chairperson, now listen to this rubbish. As chairperson of VBS, I then decided that Malema and Floyd Shivambu should be approached for the VBS to explain its position on how the loan was granted. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? He says Jacob Zuma's story was used everywhere, and particularly was used in the EFS rallies. Like the EFF was going, Jacob Zuma was corrupt. VBS gave Jacob Zuma the money. He says, can you hear that? I decided as the chairperson, because he's the chairperson of VBS, I decided that Jacob Zuma and Floyd Shivambu must be what approached in order for us to explain to them. What are you explaining to them? How the loan was granted. You're explaining this to a political party. Why didn't you do a press briefing where you explain to everyone, not to Jacob Zuma, not to Julius Malema, not to Floyd Shivambu, not to anyone? Why don't you do a press briefing to everyone to say, hey guys, listen, we see in the news some negative energy or comments are covering our VBS bank. We don't like this, so we decided to explain. We don't usually do this, but we decided to explain to you guys how this thing was granted. There is nothing illegal or any dodgy things that are happening here. Jacob Zuma obtained his loan lawfully, nothing wrong. But you decided to approach, as the chairperson, the EFF. So this man is corrupt from the core. He's corrupt. Because if you approach Julius Malema, did you approach the Daily Maverick? Did you approach Daily Sun? Did you approach News 24? Did you approach all the other people? Because the EFF was not the only people speaking negative about this. Oh my goodness, this video is going to be long. But you guys asked for this. Let's continue reading. How the loan was granted. Gogoro, which was a VBS PR consultant, arranged a meeting for me to meet with Julius at his EFF penthouse in Sandton around April-May 2017. Okay, that's good. So you guys, the meeting was arranged. Now you're going to meet with Julius Malema at his penthouse there in Sandton. Let's continue reading. I went there alone. No, man. I went there alone. I went there alone. Why am I saying I went there alone? So that nobody else can be cross-examined. Nobody can. I'm going to say I went there alone. Nobody must be cross-examined. If I say I went there with Steve, then Steve has to concur to my story. So in order to implicate Julius Malema and Floyd, and it would be my word against their word, I went there alone. And you people are believing this rubbish. This is a criminal, this one that's saying this. He's a criminal. He says, I went there alone. Hey. Hey. And I see this YouTube channel, they are all excited, they are all going crazy because this is good news for them. You know, they like trending. Julius Malema and Floyd, they are so corrupt. I went there alone. This is what the man says on the affidavit, since while we are going as to this affidavit. Anyway, let's continue. I went there alone. Present there was Julius Malema, Floyd Shivambu, and Marshal Dlamini. Marshal Dlamini did not participate in the meeting, and he was seated far from where the engagement took place. You try your best as an African child. You try your best to educate your people, but abantu bethu abalaleli, abantu bethu they don't want to apply their mind. I went there alone. Present was Julius Malema, and to cry on the scene, because you know people are pictorial people. Now you painting the room for us. You know, I was sitting with these two. Marshall was sitting a little bit far, you know, to create the notion that they did not trust him enough. So he was there, and I was with these two speaking to them. Understand? So let's continue. 2.7, 27.3. He says, I explained the position and the fact that the EFF negative commentary about VBS Zuma transaction was damaging VBS reputation. You yourself, you are damaging VBS reputation. You fool. You are the one who's damaging VBS reputation. You criminal. Let's continue reading. Furthermore, I explained that as a black brother, the EFF constitutes where VBS target market also. I further informed them that VBS was what? Willing to offer what? A donation to what? The EFF. Yeah, corruption. This is what mainstream media want you to believe. Because remember, our Floyd, no Julius, they're going to deny that this meeting happened. Understand? In order to say Brian Shivambu was acting alone, how he got the money at VBS and everything, the affidavit will explain to us later on all that. But they're going to deny this story that they have met with this person. Hey guys, be careful. Be careful, African leaders, what you are doing. African leaders, be careful. Your moves, who you talk to, record, have video footage. Like, protect yourself at all means. Hey. So now, he says he offered to donate. Offered. They did not ask him. And I think that's where they made a mistake in this affidavit. Because if you wanted to implicate Julius Malema and Floyd properly, you were supposed to say they said they for a fee they would keep quiet about the Zuma thing. That's how you implicate people. You cook the story, but when they cooked this story, it was not properly cooked. The NPA or anyway says they don't know how this affidavit leaked. They were very disturbed, as if we believe them. But anyway, that is what is happening. You offered to donate. Guys, let's continue reading. The proposed king. I then proposed that VBS can donate 5 million. Jesus Christ. 5 million. VBS is offering to donate 5 million. Just like that. Guys, icon. 5 million immediately once a bank account has been opened at VBS and 1 million per month for the year. 1 million per month. What? This guy is corrupt. Like, these people deserve like a life imprisonment, not 15 years, because they're not gonna spend 15 years. They're gonna spend 8 years. You'll be out before 2030. You understand what I'm saying? But anyways, 1 million per month to the EFF. I also made it clear that the amount could only be deposited into a VBS account, and that the EFF should therefore open a bank account with VBS. You see, the EFF and Brian Shivambu apparently this time did not have an account in VBS. This is the chairperson that comes out and say, listen, this is what is happening. The chairperson, not us, not it's the affidavit that got you guys excited. So that's the affidavit that we are reading. He offered 10 million for donations, and then because of how mutual banks work and everything in terms of working with other big banks, they could not deposit that money to FNB or whatever. I said, listen, you have to open this account so that I can deposit the money into your account. That's how it goes. Let's continue reading. Just pure rubbish that we are reading. But anyway, you guys like entertainment, so we're just entertaining this rubbish. 227.4. Let's hear what this man has to say. After I left the meeting, Floyd and I remained in contact at some stage. Floyd indicated that they have opened an account at VBS in the name of a company called Schameka. Okay, I transferred a transfer of 5 million as promised was made, and my instruction from Malibongwe to Schameka on the 8th of June. So he says he made that instruction. So a chairperson can't deposit money himself. There's people that deposit money. The CFO has to be involved. Maybe him and the CFO can make that arrangement. So the CFO, in his affidavit, when he pleaded guilty, must speak about this 5 million. Or otherwise, this story we can't take serious. And remember, you can't change that affidavit. It's already given. So anyway, because he pleaded guilty. So let's continue reading. Subsequent payments were made to Schameka, VBS bank account every month, and were paid from Vele and any of Vele's subsidiaries. Myself and Julius and Floyd understood, let's go to the next page, understood the concept of donation to mean gratification. Hence, Floyd and Julius did not provide me with the EFF own bank account details for this donation. He says they understood it was gratification. That is why they did not provide him with with an EFF actual bank account. One paragraph ago, you just said you are the one that said open this VBS account. A paragraph later, you're saying they understood that it was gratification because now they did not give me. That is why they did not give me the EFF. I have the David Lay joke. So you guys, this is what gives you entertainment. This is rubbish. Anyway, let me entertain this rubbish of yours for today. 2 more paragraphs and I'll be done. I apologize for this video for being long. You guys asked for this. 27.5. Further subsequent meetings were held between Julius, Floyd, and myself. Where this time around? The notable one was where Julius and Floyd informed me that they need funding to renovate an EFF restaurant called Grand Azania in Soweto. Hey, Nkosi yami. They need what? Let's read that again. I said the notable one was where Julius and Floyd informed me that they needed funding to renovate an EFF restaurant in called Grand Azania in Soweto. I informed them of a VBS facility that such loans and referred them to David, then the general manager of credit at VBS, to attend to this request. The loan application was made through Schameka and was approved, although I don't know the amount. Yeah, today you don't know the amount. If you do something this corrupt, you would know the amount. You know, if you come to me and say, King, award whoever with a loan, obviously, after I have done what you have told me as the chairperson, I'll come back to you and say, listen, chairperson, I did give those guys you asked me to give that 4 million, that 5 million, that 3 million, that 200,000, whatever the amount is, you would know. Since while you are cooking this story here. But you guys, I saw this Grand Azania thing. Looks very nice. Was it built with corruption money? Who knows? Now let's go. Let's continue with the last paragraph so that I don't become too long. After, let me see. After VBS placed under corruptorship, I met with Floyd and his young brother, Brian, several times at Floyd's residence in Brinstown, okay? In Brinstown, This was the first time I met Brian. At one of the meetings myself, Floyd and Brian agreed to regularize the 5 million plus the 1 million monthly donations. It was agreed amongst us that, excuse me guys, we draft a contract between Vele and Schameka for consulting work in petroleum and storage facilities. They said contracts with backdated by agreement was drafted by Shivambu's brother. The signatories of these contracts were myself, representing Vele, and Brian, who was representing Schameka. These copies thereof attached here with marked on annexures. Okay. Yeah, so now when the negative things were starting to hit, was starting to hit at VBS, now they were fixing their books now. Like, oh my God, what have we done? This thing's gonna come back negative to us. Let us fix this thing. Let's just formulate a contract somewhere, somehow. Okay. If his story is true, let's speak about the story of the contracts and the backdating of the signatures. If the story is true, it's his word, because the contracts are there. It's his word versus Brian's word. Not his word versus Floyd or the EFF. This thing has nothing to do with Floyd and EFF. Let's say, for example, if it's true that all of this money is in there and both Floyd did this thing, they played this game very well, if they did it. Because I know politicians, I'm not going to put it past them and say Floyd and Julius are completely not corrupt and everything. But they played their cards very well if this story is true. And I don't believe this rubbish of a story. But if it's true, the only person truly that is in trouble here is Brian. Because he's the one that signed, it's his company, he's the one that received the money. How that money was spent and everything, It has nothing to do with Floyd, and they could have benefited from that money. They could have done whatever, but these people gave them that money. I gave Brian that money. As I go to my final page, guys, in my closing statement. Oh my God, the video end. Why the focus on the EFF? I mean, we're talking about millions that were looted here. Millions of rands that were looted in different from different companies, municipalities, and all of that. The highest being 936 million. We are going to billion there. We are going to almost a billion. And you can see all those amounts there. The Communist Party was also mentioned. The ANC, that affidavit, maybe I should break it down, but it's gonna take me forever. 200 and something page is too long. But anyway, many people were mentioned. Black, white, Indians, everyone was mentioned in this affidavit. But the focus is to focus on these ones that are trying to unite black people. Because you black people get excited when you see one of your own fall. Like I said, Chifua, this corrupt chairperson, deserves to go to prison. But it does not bring joy to my heart, because that institution that was supposed to be a symbol of black excellence has failed. Your boy King is not happy about that one fact. Okay? So I need you black people to wake up. Everything that they put Jacob Zuma's name in it and the EFF, it must fail. Now imagine, you guys, we go into a 2029 elections and there is no Floyd Shivambu or Jacob Zuma. Or Julius Malema, I mean. Just imagine that scenario. How stronger the ANC will be, how stronger the DA will be. And this time around, when they do a coalition government, it's not going to be a government of national confusion. It's going to be between the two parties. They will have enough to put them over 51%, those two parties. Get rid of these blacks that want to unify people. And I'm saying that because we, as we are building the school, many people are going to approach us later with money. We are learning from these things. We are learning. That's why to get a mistake from your boy King, especially a financial one, is very unlikely to happen. That is why even up to today, as the committee is assembled today, you guys are going to get the video of the committee Monday morning. We have not given you guys the bank account of Paseta. Not yet. Not yet, because excitement does not rule over us. We are focused 24/7. Me and the committee, focused, can't make financial mistakes. So the EFF does not have to be guilty on this. Like I said, they just have to be mentioned. Many other EFF members who were there by chance will move out. EFF is corrupt. EFF this, EFF, I don't like Julius Malema, open border for what? All of those things that speak about the African unity, the division will continue. Divided we fall, my African people. So this video is too long. And I wanted to do a part 2 because I saw some other videos that I need to speak on, and specifically relating to the bank account of Schameka following Julius Malema where he is. So I need to speak on that and break it down for you guys so that you guys can understand that further. Let me stop here, but let me end with the video of Julius Malema. I'm going to stop. I'm not going to interpret. I'm not going to add my thoughts after the video of Julius Malema because this video is just too long. But I thank you. Give me your thoughts on the comment section. What do you think about black institutions failing? Would you be happy the day when Paseta makes it to the front page of white monopoly capitalists for corruption in order to stop us And when we are trying to explain to you what actually happened, but the damage will be done, the school will be closed, like the bank is closed, like anything that we as Africans try to do in order to succeed and, move ourselves from this white monopoly capitalist. I feel sorry for the EFF. I feel sorry for Brian Shivambu's brother. I feel sorry for us as African people, the way we don't apply our mind and our thinking. Every time when news like this, we get excited and we kick ourselves down continuously. When the main focus of uniting Africa and winning back our country and renaming it Azania, and this rubbish of calling our country South Africa and everything must stop. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm happy to hear your thoughts on the comment section. If you want part 2 of this video, just type part 2 there so that I know that I have to do it as a matter of urgency. Type part 2 King, and I'll definitely do it for you guys. And again, my apology. This is not a documentary, so my apology for this video for being too long. But as you know, let's meet next time. Until we meet again, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan-Africanism. I salute you.